קראתיה ענני ומרחביה מן המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה עודך כי אני תעני ותהי לי לישועה עודך כי אני תעני ותהי לי לישועה המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה מן המצר קראתיה ענני ומרחביה עודך כי אני תעני ותהי לי לישועה עודך כי אני תעני ותהי לי לישועה from
definitely expected all my colleagues to follow me. There they are. It's like, I'll get the guitar, you come out. Okay.
It was a good Sukkot joke.
Right. Get in the Sukkot spirit, which you hopefully will feel just by looking at this beautiful sukkah on our bima. Ufros aleinu Sukkat, Sukkat, Shelomecha, Ufros aleinu Sukkat, Sukkat, Shelomecha, Yalai, lalai, Yalai, lalai, Yalai, lalai, 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 Yalai, lalai, Yalai, lalai, Yalai, lalai, 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 Ufros aleinu Sukkat, Sukkat, Shelomecha.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Chag Sameach. It's so good to see you. Welcome to Shabbat services here at Central Synagogue. Of course, greetings to all of you in the sanctuary with us, and a nice wave to all of you out there joining us on our live stream, including our neighbors. I am Rabbi Dan Ross, joined on our bima this evening by our senior rabbi, Angela Buchdahl, by Rabbi Ari Lorge, by Rabbi Sarah Berman. We have wonderful bima guests, Howard and Jill Sharfstein, and the president of our congregation, Dr. Shani Silverberg. We don't usually have this much separation between everybody on the bima, but we figured it out, and we have enough seats up there for everybody, so we're very grateful for that. We're so grateful to have the words of our worship lifted up by our extraordinarily talented musicians, and we thank our shamashim, our ushers, for the warmth and welcoming you this evening, and of course our entire events, operations, and technical staff for making these services possible. We call Sukkot Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing, and during this first week of fall, it's a little bit crisper outside. I almost put on boots this morning. It was very exciting. We feel the extra warmth of this joyous holiday as we light Shabbat candles this evening, and we are being joined by the Fink family via Zoom, and Alexandra and Chloe Foreman and Eleanor and George Heyman on the bima. We're on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom, Finks, it's good to see you with us. Mazel Tov.
We continue with the Psalms of Kabbalah Shabbat on your order of service.
Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Try try that with me. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo. Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo. Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Sapru v'goyim kevodo. Bechol ha'amim niflatem. Ki gadol Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo. Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato.
Continue with Psalm 98, also on your order of service.
Yai lai 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 ya la lai lai yai lai ya la lai 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 la la lai lai yai lai ya la lai lai yai lai 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 Zamru l'Adonai b'chinor b'chinor v'kol zimra b'hatzotzrot v'kol shofar hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai ulai lai lai lai
we take that joyous energy of that psalm as we welcome Shabbat on page 20 with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בארך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה וצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. יאללה לה 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 לה, יאללה לה לך דודי, יאללה לה לקראת כלה, נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing for our call to hair, the prayer Baruch Hu on page 146.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai המבורך. Baruch Adonai המבורך, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. יא לה 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 לה, 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 יא לה 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 לה.
Please be seated. As we turn to our evening prayer for creation, a seasonally appropriate poem by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt entitled Autumn Nightfall. You mix the watercolors of the evening like my son, swishing his brush until the waters are black with paint. The sky is streaked and dimming. The sun wheels over the horizon like a glowing penny falling into its slot. Day is spent, and in its place, the changing moon, the splatterdash of stars across the sky's expanse. Every evening, we tell ourselves the old story. You cover over our sins forgiveness like a fleece blanket tucked around our ears. When we cry out, you will hear, soothe my fear of life without enough light, rock me to sleep in the deepening dark.
Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
We continue on page 148. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world.
In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth.
In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם נאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי ויתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
It's traditional for the Mi Chamocha prayer to take on the particular melody of the holiday. We're going to sing this with the Sukkot melody, which sounds like that. And if there ever was a melody that could capture the tension and paradox of the holiday, I think this one does. So I'm just going to take a moment to say, here we are in this beautiful harvest festival, which is so joyful because it's when you get to take the fruit off of the tree and harvest your corn and your wheat. But there's also a sense of loss, because once you do that, that's the end of that cycle of life of that fruit, and then the tree loses all its leaves and it goes back to that sort of dormant stage. And we have this beautiful sukkah, which we get to enjoy outside, but we're told that we should make the roof so that you can feel the rain if it comes down. So we feel both a sense of Zman Simchatenu, we're told this is the season of our rejoicing, and we feel such joy and abundance, and also the fragility of life living out in a sukkah, and we carry all of that, and that's somehow all carried in this melody. Now, I don't know if we had to learn this as a baby, that like minor is sad and major is happy, but somehow we've been trained to feel like it is. And this melody weaves back and forth between major and minor. So you'll hear the beginning, it goes like this. Yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. So it's very grand, almost like, you know, you're marching in with all your big baskets of fruit. Then it goes to yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. It gets kind of sad.
ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. So we'll add the words of Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, osef eleh, yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai 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 la lai la 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 lai 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 la lai la 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 lai lai la 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 lai la 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 מלכותך ובניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה אלי אנו ויאמרו זה אלי אנו ויאמרו אדוני עמו לעולם ועד אדוני עמו לעולם ועד יאי לי 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 לי
An image that we often lift up in Hashkivenu is the Sukkot Shlomecha, this sukkah of peace that God spreads over us to protect us while we sleep. My wife, Rabbi Jade Sankaras, likes to point out that these two words combined, sukkah and shalom, are actually an oxymoron when you think about it, because a sukkah is defined by its incompleteness and its permeable boundaries, its impermanence. Shalom, on the other hand, which means peace, comes from the root shalem, which means whole, complete, or even perfect. By definition, these are the things that a sukkah cannot be, or else it is not a sukkah. So we have a liturgical oxymoron. What do we do with it? Tonight, let me suggest that we see the Sukkot Shalom's implied partnership between permanence and impermanence, that to fully see things in their holiness, means that we must also see the ways that they are incomplete, just as we hope that God sees us holy, complete with all of our imperfections, and still loves us and protects us. Hashkivenu is on your order of service.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Hamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Join me. Hashkivenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us with wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom
rise for the Amidah on page 155.
Adonai, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני, שפתי תפתח, ופי יגיד תהילתך. That my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatech. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיים איתי מטרה להושיע. מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיים מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue in silence with the words on the page or the words on your heart, seated or standing as is your custom.
Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my days be as the ones before, lest routine set my ways. Lamdini Elohai, barech v'hitpalel, lamed et siftotai, bracha v'shir halel. Lamdeni Elohai, barech v'hitpalel, lamed et siftotai, bracha v'shir halel.
At some point, all of us face Sukkot moments out of season. Moments not marked on any calendar, random moments, but moments when the walls that we imagined that kept our lives together are revealed to be nothing more than shaky posts. And that watertight roof that was above us, we realize, is riddled with holes that are letting in pain and uncertainty, sorrow, and all of that chaos that we had worked so hard to keep at bay. And when we face these Sukkot moments out of season, and we know that they come, we turn to community. We turn to one another to shore us up, to bolster us, because it's there that we can find the only true security that exists in this world, through compassionate congregation. And so, this compassionate congregation tonight calls to mind these dear ones who are in need of healing. Betty Shupper, Kafina Abrams, Kathy Barron, Chana Leah Batsara, Eileen Berger, Simcha Ben Sara, Donald Brief, Jerry Calderon, Lou Chen, Monica Corton, Arden Donahue, Frank Elbling, Corey Flaum, Jerry Friedman, Susan Friedman, George Gerstmann, Ashley Goodman, Mickey Granick, Howard Hochberg, Eileen Huber, Billy Innerfield, Alexandra James and the James family, Barbara Johnson, Erwin Merkatz, Cordelia Miris, Joan Mouton, Penina Bat Mordechai Verachel, Sandy Shupper, Candace Smilo, Bill Smith, Elizabeth Ward, Barry Williams, Pam Young, and members of our armed forces who we pray are recovering from wounds of war. We add to these names members in your compassionate congregation who you are wishing a healing prayer for, and we invite you to recite their names now. And we say this prayer of healing together.
Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy, Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
As Rabbi Buchdahl taught us, this holiday is about major and minor keys intermingling, joy and sorrow, noticing the things that are painful, but also lifting up the ways that we can rejoice. This is Zman Simchatenu, the time of our rejoicing, and as one of our B'nai Mitzvah will share tomorrow, Simcha, that Hebrew word, means collected or shared joy. And one of the ways we create joy is by sharing our joys together. So if I say something that's true for you, and you can see we've been practicing to get ready for Sukkot all year, bringing in these blessings just as we remember the things that are challenging too. But if I say something that's a blessing or good for you, we'll invite you to rise and remain standing. So if you are becoming B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow, Alexandra and Sandy and Ava and Stella, we'll invite you to rise, and your family and friends who are here to rise, so we can say Mazel Tov and be the first to say Mazel Tov. And if you've marked a birthday in the past week, or you have a birthday coming up in the week ahead, we'll invite you to rise, so we can say Yom Huledet Sameach. If you've marked an anniversary of some kind in the past week, or you have one in the coming week, maybe a 20th anniversary, and you traveled here to mark it, we would say Mazel Tov to you. If you had any other kind of simcha, some kind of joyous event happen in your family, we'll invite you to rise. If you noted the first day of fall and are happy to finally feel that sense of fall descend into the city, we'll invite you to rise. If you're rejoicing that the UN will be leaving our neighborhood and the streets will open up again, we'd invite you to rise. And this one's going to get all of you. If this is your favorite Jewish agricultural festival that involves waving around 4 agricultural species, we'll invite you to rise and we'll sing Shechianu, our song of rejoice.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Please be seated. We're going to grab some props for this next part. This is Sukkot, and while it's not exactly customary to do this on Shabbat, and while it's not exactly customary to do this indoors, we know that for some folks, especially for some folks who are streaming, this might be the only opportunity to fulfill this mitzvah of shaking the lulav and the etrog. And even though it's not customary for all those reasons, we still want to do it because we want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to engage in this. So we want to
I'll take one.
You got one too, and there's two others. If you have any takers.
Maybe our B'nai Mitzvah that are in the room can come up. Would you be
Sure.
willing? Come on up. Sandy and Alexandra will get you each
We didn't warn you about this.
I
This
know.
is getting
This is kind of
exciting. What else will we ask you to
on
do?
the spot.
All right. Now, you want to be holding your lulav in your right hand. Oh, sorry, Alexandra. And then you want your etrog in your left hand. And an etrog has two sides. You want to hold this side with the stem, and you can follow along at home. This stem is called the pitom. You want to hold this down to begin with. And then we are going to say a bracha together. We're going to hold these together and hold them close to us. And the bracha, the blessing, starts the way you might think it would. You snuck a sniff in, I saw. That's okay, it's okay. It's allowed, it's allowed.
Good. It smells good.
It does. So it starts, and everyone can repeat after me, all y'all. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam,
Eloheinu melech haolam,
asher kiddushanu,
asher kiddushanu,
b'mitzvotav,
b'mitzvotav,
v'tzivanu.
v'tzivanu,
Here's our special ending, al netilat lulav.
al netilat lulav.
All right, and now we're going to shake it 3 times in 6 directions. But first we're going to turn the pitom up now. Flip it around, very good. And we're going to shake it first in front of us 3 times. To the right 3 times. Careful. To the left 3 times. Above you 3 times. Behind you.
I thought you missed one direction.
Isn't it front, back, up,
I
down?
thought it was kind of in a circle, so it went like this, then back, then this.
I thought it was left, right, front, back, up, down.
We're having a lulav controversy. I'm going to just go with you,
Well,
Rabbi.
wait, if we each do it our own ways, one of them's right.
If we each do it our own way, we're going to hit the B'nai Mitzvah.
That's true. So we go
okay.
front 3 times, back 3 times, up, and down 3 times.
Beautiful.
All right, now there's a musical way to do this.
Yes, and I know I can tell, even with the masks on, you're really jealous that you're not able to do this right now. First, I will say that anyone who wants to come up after services should feel free to come and shake and do the mitzvah. But if you can all stand and just take your 2 hands and make a little etrog and bring it close to your heart. So one of the things that we do as we do this is we shake, every time you take it out to a direction and shake 3 times, you always bring it back to your heart. And we're taking that same Sukkot melody, which you heard already twice now in services, and we're going to add the words of this, the psalm of praise of Hodu Ladonai, and add those words. So you can do it with me, and we'll kind of shake along as we go. Ready?
Just got word in. You were right.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Ha. All right. Thank you, Rabbi.
There's always next year.
Isn't that adorable? Okay, so that was great. Okay, here we go. Ready, everyone?
Hodu l'Adonai.
You don't shake on God's name.
Ki tov.
You look beautiful.
Ki le'olam chasdo.
Beautiful job. And you guys were pros first time on this up here. Thank you very much. You may be seated.
That was pretty magical, wasn't it? In the winter break of my first year of college, I met 3 of my favorite people in the world: Hermione Granger, Ron Weasley, and Harry Potter. Even if you've never read the books or seen any of the movies, these names are probably familiar to you. Discovering Harry Potter and his world was magical. I devoured the first books, completely immersing myself in the lives of these characters and the adventuresome plot lines and even the unforgettable phrases of this world. One of my real-world best friends also discovered these books at the same time, and we would call each other over this wintry month apart, comparing our reactions. In about a week, I finished reading the first 3 books. the only ones out at the time. Then I reread them again and again. Each time a new book came out, I reread the books that came before and added the new one to the collection. To this day, I reread these stories every year. Looking back now, I can identify the value of each reading. Each time was different for me. The first time I read these books, I focused on what is there, the magic and the story and the characters, especially Hermione, that nerdy heroine that I so warmly recognized. The second time, I spent more time focused on what wasn't there. In particular, there were no LGBTQ characters or characters who had a diversity of abilities. The third time, I recognized what I wish was there, like more Hermione. And the fourth time, I was finally able to see what was there that I hadn't paid attention to before. Specifically, the intentional imperfections and foibles that made each character leap off the page just like a real person. And so on and so on. Each rereading revealed something else about the text and about me. Okay, I admit it. It's not just Harry Potter. I am an incorrigible rereader. My shelves are full of books that I have or will read again. I have been called a book hoarder by that same best friend from college, actually, but he just doesn't understand. Once was enough for him, not for me. Okay, I'm also a rewatcher. That movie with Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, Charade, don't ask me how many times I've seen it. It would just embarrass both of us. The last time I reread Harry Potter, I started thinking about how like Torah they are. Now, stay with me. A week after Yom Kippur, we're allowed to dig a little less deep. I'm not talking about the style or the content of the books, the Torah and the Harry Potter books, though I have to admit, the Torah might benefit from the addition of the Weasley twins and their gleeful disregard for authority. I mean, really, imagine them confronting Pharaoh. The Harry Potter books are like Torah in the way that I return to them, to their comforting words and stories and rhythms. It's all so familiar that I almost don't even need the page to read the words aloud. And while the words stay the same, the meanings of these books are constantly changing. As in Harry Potter, in Torah, I discern different lessons each time I return to it. Like Harry Potter, the Torah is an imperfect text written by human beings with flaws. But also the way that Harry Potter does for me, the Torah has something new and valuable to offer with each reread. The good news is we all get to reread the Torah together, starting next week. When Sukkot ends, the season of our joy just keeps on going as we celebrate Simchat Torah. It's a whole holiday just for rereaders. I mean, a whole holiday just for Torah. We don't celebrate this book of Torah because its characters or dialogue or lessons are perfect. Some aren't even palatable, let alone inspiring. But Torah does have passages of sheer beauty and inspiring stories within the story and wisdom that shines through the well-worn verses. But you don't have to take my word for it. Torah reading and rereading is one of our most ancient traditions. While the temple still stood when Jews drew closer to God through the smoke of our sacrifices, even then we gathered together to read Torah. The earliest synagogues were built while we still had a temple, but then they were not there for prayer or for singing. Our synagogues were there for gathering and for reading. Torah has bound us together since those ancient days. Not just the idea of this book, this origin story for us all, but its actual and constant presence in our lives and in our thoughts. After the temple was destroyed, generations of rabbis emerged to shepherd Judaism into an unknown future. These rabbis began their days doing the most important thing that a Jew could still do without the temple. They began their days studying Torah. Every single day, on holidays and regular days, year in and year out, they read Torah. One of those early rabbis, Ben Bagbag, said, "Turn it over and turn it over again, for everything is within it, and look into it," when he spoke of Torah. Ben Bagbag knew that one reading was not enough, that to truly learn Torah, you had to read it over and over throughout a lifetime. And even if we don't read and reread Torah every day like those ancient rabbis, we still read it together every year, here in our synagogues. Since ancient times, Jews have read Torah together in public settings, giving honor to the words even as we wrestle with their meanings. There are 70 faces of Torah, we are taught. So which faces will reveal themselves to us when we come to the end and once again begin at the beginning next week? In rereading Torah, I've experienced a similar progression that I do when I reread any book. The first time I heard Torah, I focused on what's there. The stories of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and Moses. On later readings, I spent more time focused on what wasn't there. The stories of Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, Zilpah, and Miriam. Later, I began to recognize what I wish was there. More nuance, more emotional subtlety, more glimpses of the characters' inner lives. And then I began to find these things in places that I hadn't looked before, finding what was there that I hadn't been able to see before. Rereading is important because each reading is different. But what makes each reading different? You do, and I do. Each reading is different because we are different each time we read this text. As it turns out, Jewish time is cyclical, not circular. As we come again to the holidays that we've celebrated before, important dates that we've marked before, seasons that we have seen before, we never repeat the experience we had last year. We never return precisely to the same place we were in the past. That's impossible. Because none of us is the same person we were last year. We have spent the last year doing and not doing, learning and forgetting, connecting and disconnecting. We aren't who we were a year ago, but from our new vantage point in the cycle of time, we can see and remember who we were then. We might even be able to empathize with our past selves, maybe even forgive them. And we can certainly thank them, our old selves, for helping us become who we are now. Reading great books helps reveal who we are. Rereading great books helps reveal who we can become. So, next week, when we return to the beginning of the Torah, I hope you'll take a moment to think about who you were when we last started reading Torah a year ago. And I hope you will dream about who you might become by the time we begin rereading together again next year.
Yashar.
Thank you.
We're going to turn back to our Sidurim, back to our prayer books, to page 282 for Aleinu L'Shabeach, and I'll invite you to please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated.
ויתקדש שמי רבה.
On Sukkot, there's a tradition that we invite ushpuzim, which are sacred guests, into our sukkah. These are figures like the patriarchs and matriarchs, ancient biblical heroes who come visit us in beautiful spiritual ways. But those of us who have mourned losses know that ushpuzim, sacred guests, surround us always. All year and sometimes each day, we visit and are visited by the memories of our loved ones, who, though they've died, continue to appear before us in profound and significant ways. These constant ushpuzin inhabit spaces in our heart, and in this moment of memory in our service, we draw them close in particular. In our community, we're in a period of Shloshim, mourning the first 30 days of the loss of Suzanne Anholtz, mother of Patricia, Alvin Becker, father of Holly, Gail Cohn, wife of Sandy, mother of Mindy, Sylvia Dudowski, mother of Merrill and Harvey, Eric Epstein, son of Carolyn, husband of Jenna, and father of Jonah and Ari, Doris Gross, mother of Lily Barish and Carol Monotone, Deborah Jacobson, sister of Michael, Cynthia Levine, mother of Randy and Robin, and Clarice Barbara Pollock, sister of Kay. We're also calling to mind those who died this week in mass shootings in America, including Leslie E. Fisher, Jr., age 20, and Charles L. Jones, Jr., age 21. And though it's our custom to name members of the armed services who died this week, we are relieved that as of the beginning of Shabbat, there are no names to share. But we call to mind those whose yahrzeits occur on this Shabbat: Esther Amsterdam, Adele Astian, Kate Bamberger, Stephen Barron, Dora Beckerman, Hazel Bellett, Leslie Barelowitz, Augusta Berger, Paulette Block, Jack Bolitoff, Barney Bricker, Helen Brodsky, Inga Juliana Brown, Jerome Chatsky, Andrew Erdos, Elise Falkoff, Ben Fetter, Carol Feinberg, Jerome Flink, Ethel Freeman, Gertrude Friedman, Doris Gable, Fanny Galpern, Sidney Garber, Charles Gerskop, Selvin Ginsberg, Barbara Glickman, Shirley Goldsmith, Shirley Gottfried, Michael Gray, Joseph Gerwin, Leonard Harbour, Martin Harmon, Milton Harwood, Jane Jones, Carol Kahn, Bernice Kaplan, Emma Katz, Irving Katz, Jack Katz, Lila Katzen, Joseph Kaufman, Alex Kogan, Sidney Chrisser, Isaac Katatsky, Barbara Kumble, Lawrence Lane, Ruth Levy, Irene Lichtenstein, Joseph Mandelbaum, Howard Michaels, Harry Mogan, Jack Nadell, Gloria Nahum, Blanche Present, Jack Ryan, Rose Ricklin, David Roman, Saul Rosenshine, Sarah Rubenstein, Lou Rudin, Estelle Schlissel, David Schoenfeld, Eleanor Schwartzwald, Jeffrey Silverman, Judy Spiegel, Gerald Stern, Rita Stitzer, Janet I. Stone, Jesse Strauss, Joseph Tercero, Jonathan Tobias, Belle Wagner, Jacob Wallach, Miriam Wasser, Howard Weinstein, and Joseph Wickler. If you're in a period of Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning the loss of a loved one, we'd invite you to rise. And if you're in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning your loved one, we'd invite you to rise. And those who are within Shana, the first year of their loss, we'd invite you to rise. And all those here tonight to observe a yard site, we'd invite you to rise. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be an abiding blessing. And we would, your community, rise to surround you and support you as we recite more words of Kaddish Yatom on page 294, 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirtei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehet shmei rabbah mevarach ve'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudisha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
In a few moments, we'll continue with Kiddush and Motzi. Before that, just a few brief announcements, the moment you've been waiting for. We are really glad that all of you are here to join us and to see so many of you joining us virtually. We hope you'll join us also for Simchat Torah on Monday night, which will be here at 6 p.m. We'll have a chance to unfurl an entire Torah scroll, so I really hope you'll join us virtually or in person. And then the day after, on Tuesday morning, we have Yisker, and we hope that those who are able to can join us for that as well. We want to say Mazel Tov to our B'nai Mitzvah, and we want to invite up Alexandra and Sandy to come up as we prepare for Kiddush and Motzi. The blessings can be found on page 5 in your prayer books.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר לציון מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Ready? ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ. I think if they take from opposite sides, it's totally safe. There we go. Thank you, guys. You can sit down. So every festival has a Megillah, a scroll that is associated with it. And do you all know which one is Sukkot? You might not know that it's Ecclesiastes, and you think, I don't know any Ecclesiastes, but you do, and it is our closing song. And so I hope that you will join along with us.
We give them the words on the oos to make it a little easier?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Good.
You can give away the secret.
I think it's there.
On the order of service, first I got to get this song up here for me so I can remember the words. Yeah, hold on 1 second. There we go. Please join with me. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. To the last verse. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. And a time for every purpose under heaven. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
shalom.
Moadim l'simcha.